Sometimes history begins with a single memory or a single moment in someone's life.
My parents were involved in the history of the 1960s when the Berkeley Folk Music Festival was happening. My mother and father met on the way to the Newport Folk Festival. So I thought I owed it to folk festivals to study them, given that I wouldn't exist if it weren't for folk festivals.
Historian Michael J. Kramer joins us to explore how a forgotten West Coast festival reshaped American folk culture. His path to the Berkeley Folk Music Festival wasn't planned. It started with a chance encounter.
It turned out that in the early 1970s, the Northwestern Library in Chicago had purchased Barry Olivier's working archive for the festival. So Barry Olivier, the director of the festival, he had kept material so each year he could put on the festival. And he had built up this huge archive of photographs and some recordings, correspondence, and business papers, and all kinds of other material. So once a year, Barry Olivier, who was this man who organized the festival, he would invite various musicians to come to Berkeley for 4 or 5 days, and they would hold a series of concerts and workshops. It became a kind of communal event. It would take over parts of the campus. The festival wasn't really political, but it took place in a lot of these same spaces where you had the free speech movement or protests against the Vietnam War. Somehow, Barry Olivier, the director of the festival, managed to always keep the festival peaceful.
Amid all the music and movement of the festival, one image rose above the rest, a moment that captured the soul of Berkeley's stage.
Mance Lipscomb performed at the Berkeley Festival in 1961, so a few years kind of into the festival's existence. He was an African-American sharecropper from Navasota, Texas, played music for local parties. His parents had been born into bondage, and he lived in the Jim Crow South in Texas. He came to the Berkeley Festival, and it was the first time that he really switched from performing for local African-American, some white audiences in Texas, to playing for this new, more middle-class folk music audience in Berkeley. When Mance Lipscomb comes and he's playing, this photograph captures him in silhouette against the audience. And then I looked a lot at this photograph and other archival materials from the Berkeley Festival, and I got to thinking about how important it is that here comes this guy from the margins of American power, right? And here he is taking center stage at Berkeley. I think this is what the Berkeley Folk Music Festival was about. It was about arguing, kind of subtly, that someone like Mance Lipscomb had as much to offer the world of knowledge and wisdom as the most famous faculty at Berkeley. And so I got to thinking about his silhouette and how it's being cast against the Berkeley audience and the people at Berkeley, and how he became a symbol of a festival that was trying to rethink democracy, rethink who had expertise in post-war America, who had some wisdom to teach.
The Berkeley Folk Music Festival wasn't just about music. It was about possibility. In a decade defined by upheaval, Berkeley showed that tradition and innovation could share the same stage. The festival captured a West Coast spirit, open, experimental, and unafraid of change. Today, through archives and digital storytelling, that spirit lives on, reminding us that history isn't fixed. It's a conversation, and we're still part of it.